Howard Berger, and I'm here live with Talia Fine and Amy St. Denis. And I just can't tell you how happy I am to be with both of you here today. Amy, you've been like one of us for decades. And Talia, we've been watching your evolution since, I don't know, for how many years. And so before we start, I just want to ask each of you to take a minute or two just to let folks know a little bit about you, your backgrounds, what you're doing now. Amy, you want to give it a...
I'm Amy St. Denis. I have had a firm called St. Denis Group for the last 15 years. My focus is executive search within the real estate industry, but about half of what I do, a little bit more, is real estate technology. I'm starting a new company called Devana Partners with another partner. We're very excited about that. So I guess I did my first real estate chief information officer search in 1998 when I was like 10 years old. And it's just been kind of coming to Realcom since 2000. I feel like a senior citizen. Yeah.
Your family. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure. So I'm Talia Fine. I'm the SVP at Tanger Outlets. Joined about 4.5 months ago. So it's a new role for me, a very, very exciting time. Was with Brickfield in different areas for most of my career, office, office and retail. And now here I am at Tanger, kind of building the team and the application stack up.
New member of our CIO Advisory Council. Thank you. So Amy, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, Talia, thanks so much for taking the time today. It's been wonderful to see your rise and taking this new role, and just want to talk to you about some of the things that I think we've all been thinking about during this crazy period of time. And just from the perspective of what you're seeing as someone who's looking to recruit new members of the team, I'm just curious about recruitment and retention, especially in the age of the, pandemic epiphany or great resignation, however you want to say it. But I'm interested if retention has become an issue with your team during this period of time, or recruiting.
Yeah, so it's definitely, I'm living and breathing the Great Resignation. I started with Tanger, like I said, 4.5 months ago, so I'm seeing it and it's real. I would say it really depends on kind of where you're sitting and within the organization, or within which organization you're in. So I find that the companies that are really doing well are the ones that are kind of embracing the new norm, allowing for hybrid working, kind of understanding where people are coming from if they have kids at home, or competing priorities that are just making it hard for them to come back to the office right now. I've been extremely fortunate at Tanger. Tanger has really adopted a policy where they want to hire great talent wherever they are. So our CEO, he's out of New York. Sometimes he's in North Carolina. I'm out of New York. We hired a head of leasing out of New Jersey, head of construction and development out of New Jersey. COO is in Texas. So they've really made an effort to put forward kind of the talent and make that a priority. So in Tanger specifically, it's been easy, so to speak. But I do see it like it's really been a challenge for a lot of companies.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I think that just there's a lot of people who have gotten used to working remotely or minimally in a hybrid scenario, and they're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So,
And how has that affected your existing staff? Are they resisting coming back to the office?
Some of them are, yeah. So it's interesting. I see it depends a lot within the different positions, right? So I find that the developers often want to work from home, and I'm okay with that. I think that for their specific role, it makes sense. For some roles, it may make less sense. But for developers, a DBA, I think it works. And so I just take a look at what the position entails, and if it works for them. I'm a firm believer. I want to hire people who are working. So if I don't trust you to work, whether you're in the office or at home, it doesn't matter to me. I want to get the right talent in. And assuming I have the right talent in and the position, allows for that, then you can work from Mars.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it sounds like you have a top-down culture of some, willingness to work with people and work in a hybrid scenario. That's nice. I think there's still a lot of real estate companies that have really just are very much committed to a full in-office experience, and I think that's become an issue for hiring.
Well, it's hard, right? Because we're owning buildings, right? We want to set an example, but
And a psychological piece
Yes.
to that
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it really work?
I also think that, I actually love the hybrid approach, but I also think that people at some point, it'll even out, right? Like we went from this extreme of going into the office 5 days a week to going into the office 0 days a week for like 18 months. I think we'll find an equilibrium, but I also think that letting it happen organically is the best way. So when companies kind of lay down the rule and say, hey, you got to be in the office tomorrow, when it may not work for someone, that's a little bit difficult. But if you create an environment where people want to be there, I think people see the benefit of coming in. I went to Greensboro probably about a month and a half ago, and someone from the help desk was in, and I said, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee at Starbucks, right? Cool story for her to tell. Like, the SVP of IT comes in, and first week is in, like, she gets to go for coffee. So, like, I'm hoping those types of things
I think it's an
want to bring
evolution.
people come in.
It's going to be an evolution. Anyone who thinks they have the answer, right now, what the calculus looks like for that, is probably just guessing.
Yep.
I think it's going to be an iteration. We'll try some things, take a little risk here and there, but I would also err on the side of taking care of your people.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also there just hasn't been a date where everything has ended. We haven't had a structure to this. It's been such a kind of, everything changes. It's so it's a very fluid situation. So I think that you're right. If you can have a policy that reflects the fluidity of the situation, I think that's definitely going to be best. But how does that affect how you organize the team in general? Obviously there's some team building. Your developers are still supporting teams internally.
Yeah.
How are you organizing that?
So, like I said, I think it depends on kind of the position. So we're actually going through an exercise right now where we're looking at all the different positions within the organization and making a determination whether or not those roles can be remote, hybrid, or fully in the office. So I think that's going to be very telling for us.
Yep.
And then, I think it comes down to what the company is doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like that's working out well. So, in terms of one of the things that I've really been seeing from a recruiting perspective, externally recruiting perspective, is that, even entry or, relatively low to mid-level people are really asking a lot more about career path immediately. And that seems to be a focus. If the position doesn't reflect some sort of path, that seems to be something people are really wanting. They if they're going to invest in a company, they want the company to invest in them. So are you how does that work in terms of your team? How are you structuring that for creating a path for leaders and really top performers?
Yeah, so one of the first things that I said when I came in is I wanted to work on a succession plan. I think it's easier said than done because I realized very quickly there's a whole host of other things that we have to get done in terms of building our applications and our infrastructure and cybersecurity. And unfortunately, that kind of ends up taking a back seat, right? Even at companies that have been around for years and work on succession planning, it kind of like, oh, well, this project, it's going to take the forefront. And so it is something that I still want to do. I think it's very important. I was fortunate in my career to have, people who kind of helped me carve a path, but I do think that people are asking. It's important, maybe more so now than ever. I don't know what it is, if it's because they don't have anything to lose, like we just went through COVID. What's the worst they're going to say to me? I'll go somewhere else. I don't know. There's something in the air now since post-COVID. I don't know what it is, though.
Yeah, no, I hear that definitely. In terms of, encouraging companies to create leadership and mentoring opportunities, what would your advice be to other CIOs who are looking to, I love the idea of a succession plan from the beginning that is very forward-thinking, because that just does not happen enough.
Yeah,
so,
you worked for some great folks.
High five
in
that.
the past.
I've been very, very
have.
fortunate in my career. I think it has to be part of your DNA, like not within you personally, but maybe within the company, right? I think that, again, I've been very fortunate, right? So I feel like for those individuals that help me, I have it in me now to pay it forward, right? I want to help the next group of leaders. But I think it stems from the fact that I had a good leader myself, a good manager, a good mentor. But again, I think it goes back to the company and what culture the company sets. Like, it should be something that's ingrained within the DNA of the company, right? We need to focus on our up and coming leaders, because at some point, this group that's sitting here, they're the BAs now, but they're going to be the CIOs or who knows what, right, in a few years, and we need to make sure that they're ready for it. I actually had a conversation with someone this morning. I gave my first board presentation last week.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. It's done. But nobody prepped me for it, right?
Yeah.
I get up in front of a board. I've never done a board presentation
And
before.
no one helped you.
No, I mean, I have mentors. I'm fortunate, right? But like, there was never any sort of, I don't want to say class because that sounds a little bit formal, but like, here's how you do it. Here's what they're expecting. Here's, right? I asked a lot of questions. I happen to be fortunate that I know a lot of great people and I could ask, but these are the things that people need to be prepped for.
Yeah.
So it's not a conversation they're having at the executive level. How
I
do
don't
we
think
help?
so.
How do we help
I
our
don't think
departments
so.
with their succession planning?
Yeah. But I think you have a really unique position. I don't know that I mean, certainly you're not alone in this, but you are someone who's come into the organization at a more junior level and worked up. And, I think that, it's been my soapbox for years that, we don't do a lot of training specifically for the top leadership position. I think there's development of people, but to get people to that level. And I think that it creates a very high, I don't know about failure rate, but it definitely, not everybody is prepared to move from even the number 2 to the number 1. And it sounds like you credit a lot of the mentors that you've had in your life for helping you along those. But I also think that's probably who you are. Definitely somebody who is.
I seeked out mentors, right? I forced people to be my mentors probably. But there's also great groups out there, like the CIO group, the Emerging Leaders CIO group. Was just talking about it with Scott this morning. There's the REC, which I joined. There's Realcomm. I think a lot of, I found mentors at Realcomm. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not defined, right? It's not, you have to really be looking for it in order to find it.
You have to do the work. You have to invest.
Yes.
In finding it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people just have that in their DNA. I mean, they're willing to be proactive. They want to take a leadership path and grow. So they're out there making the effort and doing the things, but not everybody wants that.
That's okay. That's okay too.
I mean, you need both.
Right.
But is there I wonder if there's a way you can identify that that desire, even if it isn't brought up, in the early stages of hire. Anyway, that you can identify somebody who's really would be a great candidate for more training and mentoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen companies do sort of, I don't know what they're called, like certain types of tests, assessments when you come in to see like your propensities and how you're going to be as a leader, or if you're not going to be a leader, if you can collaborate, if you're more of an individual worker. They're interesting to me. For me, it's not a scientific method.
No.
I just feel it in my gut, right? When I interview someone and I'm like, I need to have this person. This is the person I want in my organization. And I go to sleep at night and I'm like, I don't think twice about it. I typically know that person is going to become a leader. If I'm hemming and hawing or like there's something just not sitting right with me, it's not that person. And it's not a perfect science, but it works for me.
What are some of those triggers that tell you, I want this person?
I don't even know if I could pinpoint it, honestly. I was interviewing someone as a business analyst. For 6 months, I was looking to fill a position specific to Salesforce. And I thought HR was probably going to have my throat because it was taking so long. The day I interviewed this individual, I said to HR, hire her. Like,
just checked all the boxes.
And she's been amazing ever since. Absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, I think it's a combination of someone who obviously has, the ability to do that. And I think this really is something interesting you said about the board meeting, your ability to find your way through something, to kind of jump into the deep end and swim to the other side of the pool is not something that everybody can figure out. I think those skills, those kind of soft skills are probably part of your leadership profile. So I think that's really interesting. I think as a woman in a leadership role in an industry that's majority male, I mean, are you, it sounds like you've identified some women, to kind of bring along within your team. I mean, have you seen, since you started, have you seen any changes that are, in terms of women in leadership? Or?
Yeah, I think I was actually very fortunate at Brookfield. When I was there were a lot of females within IT, like surprising to me, which I had never seen before. And that was really refreshing and that was really great. I personally have never felt kind of, I don't know, I never really sat down and thought like, oh, I'm the minority. I'm only one of two women here, and maybe that's just, I don't know. I don't know what to attribute it to. But now, as a leader, I actually am more cognizant of it, especially during COVID when I had female workers at home who were dealing with kids at home and were ready to tear their hair out. Right then, I kind of like opened my eyes and I'm like, okay, this is a big deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many good women leaders over there at Brookfield.
Yeah,
An amazing environment.
yeah,
Yep.
really great, really great.
Yep.
I've been fortunate. What can I say?
Yeah. No, you're right. Right place.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a culture that's always encouraged that, for sure. I think there's a lot of women who don't have access to other women in leadership roles, and I think that's something that's been a little bit difficult, and I know that it's been nice for you to kind of see that. I mean, in terms of creating opportunities or, ways to promote women in leadership, do you have any thoughts about that? How companies can be more conscious and cognizant of bringing women along?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it goes back to you can create groups for women, right? Specifically within the organization. I've seen those happen. I've also seen them fall apart, right? Someone has to lead them and have to kind of take off. But I just think it goes back to like it being embedded in the culture and in the DNA, right? Are we hiring men and women and diverse candidates? Are there groups? Are there avenues for these individuals? Again, the CIO, emerging leaders, like finding out. And you introduced me to someone who I connected with, right? She's an up and coming. She's a CIO, new CIO female, and it was just great to talk to another female, right? But again, I had to seek those out, or you helped me seek that one out in that instance. But you have to be mindful of it. It has to be something that you're always paying attention to.
Yeah, I think about the women that I've seen really progress, and I mean, with some exceptions, but certainly I think the majority have had really solid mentors who were conscious of really bringing them along. And, that's not necessarily true in other parts of the industry. I had an industrial developer recently tell me that women were not cut out for industrial development, which was a pretty good sign that was probably not somebody
right,
I wanted to
right
spend a lot of time with.
conversation,
But I do think that this has been a unique opportunity to bring some women along and create some diversity within teams, because I think in general all teams function better with some diversity.
And I have a real selfish motive for wanting you guys to succeed in helping attract more women to the industry, because we have so few in leadership roles in IT. And it's difficult. I mean, as a conference producer and a program producer, my first desire is to find women leaders for each of my panels. And there aren't many.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It really is. And we get yelled at. People throw stones at it. Whereas, it's like, show me.
Yeah.
Show me. It's, it'll be done.
Yeah.
So we do.
Yeah. And there have been women within leadership roles within real estate. I think Melanie Alshaw was the second CIO that I ever worked with, and that was maybe 1998. So certainly there have been people in leadership roles for a long time, but generally most of the women I've placed in CIO roles are growing into that role. They've been in a number 2 role, and they're coming into a number 1 role with just tremendous skills and abilities. And I think that that's really something. But the candidate pool is always going to be, we really need to kind of create more opportunities to just bring the candidate pool into a little more of an equilibrium, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I started developing a Rising Star program that is focusing on women in the industry. Folks who may not be second in command, but they may be staffers that are showing promise. One of my mandates going forward is to try to figure out ways that I can help them broaden their experience and start getting them introduced into the community, and bring them into see if there's something we can do as conference producers to help bring
When's
them
this
into
kicking off?
It's kicked off. It's
Oh.
kicking off. Yeah.
You were always the first person on my list for a new CIO anyway, but particularly for women, just to get them connected.
Yeah.
You're a great connector.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, we need it so badly in this industry, and it's not just to meet diversity numbers. It's really to or to balance the or to balance the the genders. We just it's a gap that's glaring.
Yeah, well, and it just brings a different perspective, right? I think it creates a diversity of perspectives that really adds to the whole, everybody's, body of information
Absolutely.
and knowledge.
Well, I hate to say it, that wraps us up. This was a great conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
It's so
you.
great to be here in person
I'm
this year.
so glad to have
It's
you here.
amazing.
Feels great.
Amy, it's good to see you
Great
again.
to see you.
Yeah. So thank you both.
Thank you, Howard.
All right,
Thanks,
enjoy
Howard.
the conference.
Thank you.